Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. This is Fiona Drawings in a Drawer, and today we are going to talk about the eyes, the window to the soul, the focus of so many paintings. Apologies for my wobbly hand here again. So what is an eye? An eye is a ball set in a socket inside our skull. So if we draw an eye like, pause, this one, is going to look flat, or an eye like this one is going to look cartoonish and geometric. So definitely not how you're supposed to be drawing an eye. So let's take a look at how we should draw an eye. An easy thing to do, an easy trick, is to draw the white part of the eye first and then add the iris and everything that goes around it, like the lower rim of the eye, which beginners very often forget to put in there, and the tear duct. And of course, there's no need for me to tell you to then add a pupil, and we always have highlights in our eyes. So the iris, even if it's very dark, is always going to have a highlight. It's never going to be all one color. Then we have that top eyelid where the darkest shadow is in the crease of the top eyelid. So as we said, since the eye is a globe, literally a ball, we're going to have shadows on the whites of the eye. Since I am now drawing the eyelashes, I will explain how to draw eyelashes. The top eyelashes will be thicker and fuller than the lower ones, and they will not be straight. They will start out longer on the outer edge and going outwards, and as you go towards the middle of the eye, they will kind of change direction and start curving upwards, and the lower lashes will be finer. I'm now adding shadows in the eyeball to give it that three-dimensionality, and I am doing something which you shouldn't do when you're just drawing with pencil and paper. I was using my finger to get those to do the shading. You should use a stump. I'll be using a stump in here later on, but I have the bad habit of using my finger, and fingers can be oily or be dirty or whatever, so don't do that. Don't take my example. So I'm going in here, adding more shadows, deepening those shadows. To make a drawing realistic, you have to have at least 3 values in there. You have to have a dark value, you have to have a mid-tone, and then you have to have a lighter value. And literally, it doesn't matter what color it is if you are going to be using color, as long as you have at least 3 values in there. That will help you make your drawing or painting look more realistic. You will also have shadow on the top part of the iris, because that is the shadow cast by the eyelid or by the brow bone, and the lower part of the iris will usually be lighter. There is usually also a highlight in the tear duct, and there can be a highlight on the lower rim. Sometimes people forget to put that lower rim in there, or they have the eyelashes starting right on the edge of it. Whereas if you take a mirror and you look in the mirror, I have a mirror right here, you will notice that the eyelashes start literally on, like almost inside the lower rim. So don't have like no rim and these eyelashes looking like they're coming out straight off the eyeball, because they're not. So I am deepening the crease in the top eyelid. I'm going in, adding more darker values. So going back to the mirror, I learned how to draw from a book, and I learned how to draw looking in the mirror, because back in the day we didn't have things like Pinterest, Pixabay, I don't know, all those places online where you can get reference images. We just didn't have them. We had books, we had magazines, and we had the plain old mirror, and that is your best friend for learning how to draw, because you can, even your hands, well, you don't need a mirror for that, but using yourself as your own reference image can be really good. And especially the eyes, you just have to look in the mirror, or your nose or your mouth, and see how everything is placed. Since you know yourself very well, you will know if you are getting a likeness there, if you're doing a good job. So I had to grab this black pencil by Luminance Caran d'Ache, and I had to go in because I just wasn't going dark enough. I should have thought of grabbing 3 different levels of pencils, but I only had one. I think it was an HB. So I grabbed this black luminance Caran d'Ache, and those are coloured pencils are really amazing. They need sharpened quite often. They're very waxy, but they are very pigmented. I really love them, and it's very hard actually to get hold of them here. I managed to find, I had to go like to 3 different art shops, and I live in a big city, and I managed to finally get my hands on one, or else you have to get them online and you have to pay for the postage and all that, so it gets quite expensive for like one pencil. And I use the black of the luminance very often. I really love the black. So I'm adding the shadows to the eyeball with this black pencil, and then going in with a regular pencil again, doing what you shouldn't be doing. Also, sorry about my head being in the way so often, but I had changed the angle of my camera and to get more working space, which I did, but I also managed to get my head in there half of the time, which isn't exactly professional, but you know that about me by now. In the end, I couldn't resist. I'm so used to getting shadows with watercolor now, so using color to get shadows, that I couldn't resist, and I had to grab some color. So I went in, got this pink. You very often have pink in the eyeball as well, pinks, blues. I got some blue to add some color to the iris. These pencils are not by Caran d'Ache, so they're less pigmented, as you can see for yourself. So here I am. Yeah, I really realised I was way out of practice when it comes to shading with a pencil, as I am now used to doing that part with watercolours. But you know, we also have another lighter shadow, lighter compared to the shadow of the crease, above our eye and just below our brow bone. Whereas on the brow bone, especially towards the outer corner of the brow bone, we will have a highlight. When we are painting with watercolors, we will achieve that by leaving a highlight in that area, which means literally not painting over that area or masking it with masking fluid. I now went in and added eyebrows without realizing that, of course, since I had changed the angle of my camera, I wasn't, it wasn't filming it. It was out of the zooming area, whatever you call it. I don't know. But fortunately, I will be moving my sketchbook down in a minute. And I started drawing the eyebrows. One mistake beginners make with eyebrows is blocking them in, because that is kind of a trend at the moment in makeup, having these big eyebrows. But eyebrows, unless you want to kind of convey that look that you achieve with the makeup, a natural eyebrow wouldn't be like that. So you would go in and lightly trace an arc where you want the eyebrow to be, and do use a mirror to see where your own eyebrow is and try to copy what you see. Draw what you see, not what you expect it should be, but what you see, what you actually see in the mirror. Start by going in with a lighter layer of hairs, then going on top of that with a darker layer of hairs and drawing less hairs as you go darker, and then going in with a final darker layer. You can do as many layers as you want, really. I'm going in with some brown here to add some variety. I don't really know what I was doing anymore at this point. But yeah, don't go for the rectangular block, because if you look at your natural eyebrow in the mirror, it's not going to be like blocked in unless you used an eyebrow pencil, and did that. So I'm trying to get more shadows in here, doing the breaking the rule of not using your thumb or fingers to shade. And then if you notice, the arc of the shadow below the brow bone will kind of lead you easily into finding where the bridge of the nose should be. So it is quite easy, because you can see that the edge of the nose is where the inner corner of the eye is, and the edge of the mouth is usually just below the pupil of the eye. So that is a good trick to get your proportions and symmetry right. In the end, I couldn't resist, and I went in with more of that black pencil and just finished off this. Anyway, the video is coming to an end. I just want to remind you, as usual, if you would like to follow me on Instagram, my handle over there is drawings in a drawer. If you would like to take my watercolour class on Skillshare, it's Woman in Watercolour by Fiona Di Pinto. And in the link in the description box, you can access that class, or even get 2 months for free on Skillshare, your first 2 months, and access all the wonderful classes that are on there. I will soon be taking a video editing video on Skillshare because my editing skills are bad. Bye guys, stay tuned, and thanks for watching this.